Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I want to share with you one of my more recent acquisitions. This is the Doxa Sub 300 Professional. This is a modern one-to-one reissue of the original Doxa Sub 300 that debuted at Bezel in 1966. One of the most iconic dive watches in all of history, and it carried a number of different firsts. So I'm super fortunate to have this limited run of this modern reissue, this one-to-one reissue. It has since sold out. There was 300 produced, and I'm just I'm really excited to share it with you guys today. So I'll start by throwing some specs here on the screen so you guys can get a sense of the size of this watch. It's actually, it looks like a large watch when you look at the specs, but it wears very, very well. In part because this tonneau-shaped case has a very short lug-to-lug length, and the overall height it really is only about 10.5 if you're discounting this bubble sapphire crystal that sits proud of the bezel. With the crystal, it's about 13.5 millimeters in height. And so on the wrist, it's a dream. I'll show you a shot on my 7.25 inch wrists. My favorite part, the thing that I think really makes it, is this beads of rice bracelet. This is one of the most interesting, one of the most comfortable, and in my opinion, one of the coolest bracelets you can buy on any watch. And this one is a true beads of rice, so each one of those grains is a separate piece of steel. It's just smooth as butter and really makes this watch really, really cool. Now, again, like I said, this is based off of the original Doxa Sub 300, which was the very first orange dial diver ever made. So Doxa, when they were developing this in the 1960s, they tested a few different colors in a local lake in Switzerland. They thought a vibrant color would be the most visible at depth. So they tested red, they tested yellow, turquoise, and orange, and they found orange to be the most visible with the nicest contrast at a depth of 30 meters. So that's why we have the very first orange dial diver. It was meant to be a functional thing and not like a fashion element. So I think that's really interesting. Check out this dial on a macro level. You can see it's very well done. We have black contrasting printing here. It's got some dimensionality to it, a little bit of reflectance. It's very sharp. Doxa went to the trouble of recreating the exact font for the text, and I do appreciate that element. So I mean, everything about this is true to that original iconic diver, even down to that lume pip that is next to the 3 o'clock date aperture. I think that's awesome. My favorite part about it though is going to be the handset. We have a dwarf hour hand and an enlarged minute hand. Again, this was a design decision. When you're diving, you need to know the minute and how it relates to the bezel. You're not really concerned about the hour as much. So they accentuated the size so your eye is drawn to the minute hand. And I think that's really awesome. So speaking of the bezel, we have two different tables on this bezel, which again was another first for the dive watch. On the inner brushed ring with the black indexing, you have your elapsed timer, so you can time up to 60 minutes. And then the polished outer section with the orange accents, that's the US Navy no decompression dive table. So again, very functional, very handy if you're using this diving as it was intended to be used. Again, remember that this came out before dive computers. So a really, really cool functional element, not just a fashion thing. So in the end, I just love everything about this watch, from its rich history to the way it fits on the wrist, the vibrant pop, or I guess I should say punch of orange of the dial. This is one of the most enjoyable watches that I've ever owned. This is a grail piece to many people, and I'm very fortunate to have it in the collection. I traded my Breitling Aerospace. I added a little cash to get this thing. Again, it's limited to 300 units. It sold out very quickly. So I'm just super pumped to have it in rotation, and I plan on wearing this for a very long time. One thing to note, Doxa, as soon as you buy one, as soon as you experience the magic, so to speak, you become hooked and you want to check out other ones like Shark Hunters and Sea Ramblers and different versions. Doxa has released a number of awesome variants over the years. This book actually came with my watch that details some of those awesome releases. So I do anticipate owning more Doxa in the future. It's a very enjoyable brand, And I can understand the hype and the craze behind their watch fans. They have some of the most dedicated watch fans of any brand I've seen, which is pretty awesome. So one last thing I forgot to mention, the movement in here is an ETA 2824. It is a chronometer. They do have it tested, and in this actually metallic tube that the watch ships in, you get the papers detailing the results of that testing, which I think is pretty cool. So in the end, awesome watch, a lot of pros, very few negatives. And if I were to single out anything, it would be the clasp is, at least the outer portion is made out of stamped metal, and I think could be improved. The inner portion is milled, but again, minor gripe, more subjective than really anything, but just wanted to be honest with you guys, give you my full opinion. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.